beautiful, and welcome back to another episode of Beautiful, I Am Colored. I am coming back to you 2 times in the same week to follow up on part 2 of Sunday's episode, which was titled Tired of the Games. Recall that on Sunday, I kind of was low-key venting a little bit about preachers and churches and politicians, and before I went down a full rabbit hole on that topic, I stopped and I said, what can I do to fix this? And that cascaded into me sharing a tip with you in terms of what I'm doing about it. What am I doing? What is my part in this whole game sometimes that we call life? Which is really not a game, or if it is a game, it's a very serious one, in my humble opinion. And so wanted to come back this week and wrap up, same week, wanted to come back and wrap up this so that we can start fresh on Sunday with a new topic. Today is Thursday, April 4th at 6:11 p.m., the time of recording. And this, I think, is the first time I've ever done the podcast at night or in the evening, and I don't know how I feel about it. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I will do 2 podcasts per week moving forward. I'm not sure. We'll just see how it flows. But jumping right into the podcast for today, and please forgive me. What I want to do first is say hello. My name is Evelyn, and I am the creator of this podcast, as well as the author of the book titled Beautiful, I Am Colored. And this is a place where weekly I just talk about different things that I have, pondered on, and then I share, different reflections with you each and every week. Really for inspiration, for healing, for the little nugget that you might need to get you over to the next step. Sometimes just to even wake up in the mornings for some people. And so I am back again, and like I said at the beginning, wrapping up with part 2 of Tired of the Games topic that was started on Sunday, March 31st. And I shared the tip with you on Sunday about stopping or minimizing social media engagement, something that I've been actively doing now for several weeks. I have drastically limited posting about not about my podcast. I do post that when I upload. But aside from that, I haven't really engaged in terms of like daily or several days of the week, like where I would post like inspirational messages or topics on my Facebook and Instagram pages. And mostly because there's just so much going on right now that it was not overwhelming, but it was just starting to be too much of a distraction. And some of the things that are going on was starting to pull on my energy in a bad direction, right? And we always want our energy to go towards the positive flow so that we can stay in a creative state and really maintain what we are called to do. And sometimes when we are going through challenges, or when the world is going through challenges and we start to tune in to those, that can pull our energy in a different direction and cause all kinds of different side effects that subconsciously we may not be aware of. Anyhow, I want to finish up with sharing 2 tips with you today of things that I'm doing to kind of just maintain. Number 2 on my list is to read and or listen to a book that will help me get to my goals or help me reach my goals. And so you might have heard me mention before, we have a book in our library here at home by Dr. Joe Dispenza titled Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And, I remembered that it popped up in my head after the podcast on Sunday. And I was like, let me just, YouTube and just see, if I can find anything, that he's done, in recent weeks, months, whatever. And so, of course, I did, which, of course, I'll link in the description or in the show notes here shortly for me. But you get what I'm saying after you hear the podcast today. And I was listening to it, and when I tell you, like, it really helped me, like, just refocus, because he goes very deep, sciencey level, and explains, like, why our brains are wired the way they're wired, and how we can reprogram our brains to become, the people that we want to become. And so I listened to that. It's over an hour. I can't remember the link, but it definitely is over an hour. But the thing about it is, you can listen to it in your car. I found it on YouTube, but it's really audio because he doesn't have any visuals to accompany the lecture. And I said to myself, well, I need to do things that really, one, resonate with me, and then two, fill me up so that I can pour into, the things that I love most, or that I'm most passionate about. One of those things, of course, being this podcast, and also still continuing to not be on social media for a while. It was not actively engaged in it. In terms of, the birthdays, if you're still on Facebook, the birthday notifications, this notification, oh, this person did that. And I don't know, by the way, as a sidebar, I don't keep notifications on. I'm talking about like when I actually go into the application on my phone. I don't have like things that just pop up. The only thing I have that pops up are text messages. And even with that, it only shows like the person's name. It doesn't show. I have my phone programmed to where it only shows just the most pertinent information, just in case it's, a family member or something trying to get a hold of me. But as a rule, I don't keep my phone volume on unless I am expecting a call. I just don't like all of the distractions, we have enough distractions to deal with, and it's hard enough to control. So I have a very hard line rule about keeping things silenced and notifications off as a result. But getting back into number 2, the reason why I stress reading or listening to a book, really reading over listening, because there's something about reading a book and how it impacts your brain in a different way, different than listening to something impacts your brain in a different way than if you had all of the things to help assist you, meaning you had, visuals, you have, your ears to listen to whatever the speaker is saying, and then maybe even another activity. I think it actually, and I'm not sure if you feel the same way, but it actually helps my brain. It strengthens my brain to go deeper, because some of the things that the person is saying, I get to imagine. And when your imagination kicks in, that is, I'm learning, one of the signs that you are starting to program at the subconscious level is when you can actively engage with feeling the things that, you desire, which is why the lecture that I listened to is called Manifesting What You Want. So I would encourage each of you, there's the library, from my understanding, still has a ton of free things, especially here in Denver. We are so blessed to have so many libraries, so many parks. But if you don't have the resources to purchase your books, I have a goal of growing our library. I want one of the biggest libraries possible. So we typically will buy our books in multiple copies of a book because we have that as a goal, as a family unit. But if you don't have the resources to just buy all of your books, like, the library is still a very good resource to get all sorts of things and even activities. So I just wanted to plug that, a shameless plug for public libraries here in the States, but especially here in Denver, because I feel they do such a great job. The third tip that I wanted to share with you, and this probably is one that I'm going to stay on the longest, and that is know thyself and do for self. So let's break it apart. Knowing thyself, knowing yourself. Oh boy. I think this is probably, if I had to critique myself, one of the strongest areas that I have is knowing me. Like, I know Evelyn very, very well. The times I don't listen to the inner Evelyn, it always is going to end up being a problem. Always. Life has taught me that so far. But getting to know yourself requires you to be intentional about taking time to do some things like, for example, I was sharing, how I turn off notifications or turn off your phone completely if you're able to do so for a period of time. Disconnecting from everything and being quiet or silent. And the truth of the matter is that is so difficult for a lot of people these days because we have the need, because we've been programmed, by the powers that be, to always be entertained, to always be looking at something, engaged in something, rather than being and sitting with ourselves. For a lot of people, it's just so difficult. But like anything, you have to take, little steps in order to grow that side of you and to get to hear what your inner voice sounds like, right? That requires silence until you become fully acquainted with it. And even when you become fully acquainted with it, I would argue that you still need silence to contribute to getting to know the deeper part of you who is you. And I think you might be very surprised about, what you learn about yourself in solitude. Yes, people need people, and I'm a strong advocate for that. But I also know that you relying on you is one of the most important things that you can do. You being sure of the voice that you're hearing in terms of direction, in terms of what can I say? In terms of inner peace. One of the ways you do that is in silence. And again, if you tune into the link that I'm going to reference in today's notes, and listen to Dr. Dispenza's lecture, he talks a bit about the importance of this and being silent and meditation as well. Something that, frankly, I think I had a jump start on because, as you all know, I grew up in church. And so church, at least the churches that I was a part of, they actually teach you this. It's not called the same thing, but I learned from a very early age how to do that and how to tap in and how to go in and how to connect to a higher source. And so it's very common for me. It's like waking up and washing your face and brush your teeth. I can tap in usually pretty quick. But if I want to go deeper, if I'm trying to get an answer to something, then of course that takes a little bit more work. So that's my 3A tip, is know thyself. The other tip that I have, which was the second part of tip number 3, is do for self. And I'm sorry, I think my voice went out there. I said do for self. And here's what I mean. I have really just been assessing, my parenting skills and, what have I really taught? Did it stick? Sometimes we get the feedback that you never taught me X, and I was thinking to myself, in a world where there is such great entitlement across the board, not just with the children and parent dynamic, but across the board, just give me. You give it to me. You do it for me. You fix it. You over there. No, you. I don't care if you're a stranger. No. I want you to pay for that. Yeah. No, bring it over here. Over here. No. Closer. You see what I'm saying? The sense of entitlement, right? And what I've learned and what I believe, until proven wrong or challenged, is that when you provide things without any sort of exchange, because it doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be a currency exchange, but when you don't have an agreement that somebody is going to do something in order to get this, the tendency to not take care of the thing that is provided is very, very high. Let's take one example. Let's say you didn't have shelter. Shelter is provided for you at no cost, but you keep all your stuff on the ground. You don't, even if it's a cot that you were provided, you don't, pull up the covers, right? You just throw everything on it because it's somebody else's job to do that. And it could be a host of other examples. I think you get where I'm going with that. Instead of doing for self, I've found that when I've had to work hard for something, let's take, for example, that law degree that I got back in 2022. I worked my ass off for it. When I tell you that it was not light work, I might have made it look easy, but I assure you, it was not easy. It was very difficult, especially the first semester. But I cherish it so much because I know that I put in that work. I know what I did to get that little piece of paper that might not mean much to anybody else, but I know how hard I worked to get the information and learn the skills that I have for that particular degree. And so I guess in short, I'm just saying, and I'm cautioning that, as we advance and evolve as human beings, to not forget to, work. It's almost like work is a curse word or a cuss word around here, and learn how to do the things for yourself. Learn how to. I'm learning about accounting right now. Not accounting, about different types of accounts, retirement accounts that I can, put money in so that the money can grow. Just don't stop doing the things that you need to do for you. Don't wait on somebody else all the time. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes people will show up and to provide that support, and it's just the cake. It's the, what do they call it? The cherry on top. There are times in my life that definitely has happened, but I found that those times come usually when I have done some sort of action in order to draw that extra help to me. And so I'm encouraging you to do the same. So that concludes my tips about how I'm getting over being tired of the games that's being played out here, especially in this presidential election year here in the States. And then I want to close differently because you probably noticed that I didn't do my shout out and thank you segment. And it's because, frankly, I just started talking and forgot. So let me just talk about one thing really quick. So I forgot to mention on Sunday that I had the most awesome date, and it was a double date. When was this? Last Saturday? Yeah, I think it was last Saturday. So we went to a paint and sip studio with another couple, and it was awesome because I cannot paint, but I follow instructions pretty well. And we had the most amazing time at the place called Whimsy Studio and Lounge in the Central Park, Northfield area. And so for those of you in the Denver metro area and you're looking for date night ideas or group out ideas, even if it's just a family outing, I would strongly suggest looking up Whimsy Studio and Lounge. I know if you are trying to go on the weekend, I was surprised because it was not a holiday or anything, but man, that class was sold out. It had 40 seats and it was sold out. So I was happy we got in early. But anyways, I wanted to share that with you that we had such a great time there, and I'm all for good date nights and fun date nights. And so hopefully you'll give them a try. That concludes the podcast for this week. As always, I am believing that you have picked at least one piece of something from the podcast today that can shed a little bit of light in your life. Thank you for taking the time to be with me again. I will see you. I keep doing that. I will be back again on Sunday with a brand new topic to talk about. I'm sure something will happen that will spark a conversation that needs to be had or that I would like to have with you on Sunday. Until then, remember, the future you is waiting on you. Have a great rest of the week and a phenomenal weekend.